All right, today we're doing everything math. I'm gonna touch on 5 curriculums that most homeschoolers find success with. And I'm not gonna go into in-depth great review on any curriculum because there's plenty of those resources out there where you can look up a specific curriculum and someone will walk you through it. But I'm just gonna do a basic overview of why these tend to work for most people, what they're about, what the cost is, the time that it takes to do it, and anything special that maybe that particular curriculum offers. So we're going to be covering all things math right after this. Hi there, my name is Melissa Branham and I'm the mom of the WanderStruck.Family. If you're just now finding our channel, we help you through your homeschool journey. Whether you are a new homeschooler, already home educating, or a veteran of home-centered education, you can find tips, tricks, encouragement, and inspiration with us. Go ahead and click that subscribe button so you don't miss anything. And today we're talking all about math and math curriculums. We're not going to dive deep into them. We're just going to do an overview. And we're going to start off with number 1, which is Life of Fred. Life of Fred is a super cute series that follows a 4-year-old who is a prodigy and a professor at a university. He's super cute. Within the books, you read the story and it uses math and mathematical concept as Fred encounters things throughout his day and his life. You read about a 3 or 4 page story within each chapter, and then at the end of the chapter it says, let's check and see what you learned. And it has about 8 to 10 questions in there that the kids answer that has to do with mathematical concepts they've already learned and concepts that they just learned in that chapter. There's no placement test for Life of Fred books, so you can't jump on and see where in the series they should be. So you read the book description in the purchase site and decide which one fits the concepts that they're trying to meet. When you're between 2, I suggest always leveling down. It's okay if you review a little bit, but you don't want to jump ahead and then have a child get lost because you went too quickly. So it's always best to scale down and then teach review. The book series is not intended to be independent when children are younger. But obviously when a child can read, they can take over and be independent on their own as long as they understand the concept. You'd have to have a child that feels comfortable with coming and saying, I didn't understand this. Can you help me work through this or walk me through this? There is no in-depth teaching in the books. So if you're looking for a step-by-step how to solve the problem, you're not going to find that in the Life of Fred books, but you can always access something like Khan Academy for an additional resource. The Life of Fred books are often not seen as a full curriculum because it is so loose in its teaching, but I have heard of people having great success for it, especially for kids that don't really like math. It helps them to relate math to everyday situations, and the stories are really cute and they're really funny, and the drawing's adorable. It is super cost effective, running at about $20 to $25 per book. And you can even find them on sale or buy larger book packs where you can get even greater deals on the books themselves. If you want to use Life of Fred for a supplement, doing 1 chapter at a time is great. If you'd like to use it as a full-time curriculum or your only curriculum, doing a timed segment would be better. So saying we're going to work on math for the next 20, 30, 40 minutes, depending on your child's age, and doing math during that time and accomplishing what you can in that time period. All right, next up is teaching textbooks, and teaching textbooks is a great resource. It happens to be what we use at this time, and they're an online math resource. They offer a placement test on their website so that you can determine where your child fits or what level they should be starting on. And we like it because the kids can work independently. They log on, they get instruction right there on their site. They take their quizzes and their practice questions and it checks their answers right there. If it's incorrect, it lets them have the option to see how to work through the problem and they can see where they made their mistake. And as the teacher, I can log on and see how they're doing, what questions they got right, and I can see whether or not they checked to see how to solve the problem. So if they got it incorrect and they didn't check the problem, I want to know why they didn't do that. One thing that's super appealing about teaching textbooks is the affordability. It runs about $35 up to $70 depending on the level. So high school is more pricey, but that's for a full year subscription, and they give you the option to pause your subscription for things like summer break or Christmas break or things like that. And they also offer a family plan. So for $200, you can get up to 8 subscriptions within their family plan. Now this is just for one household, so don't be texting your friend right now and be like, hey, we should totally, yeah, don't do that. But up to 8 kids on one account. So that makes it much more affordable for large families, which is why they call it their large family plan. The downside that we found to teaching textbooks is that they can be really slow, especially during peak times. So when a lot of people are on the website at one time, it really slows down. I did call them about this, and they said they just upgraded their servers last year and that they haven't noticed any problems on their end. But as a parent, we definitely did have that struggle. If the kids did not get their schoolwork done in the morning, it was too slow in the middle of the day for them to do it, and they'd have to wait till nighttime to do their math because they just were waiting for it to load constantly. So just something to keep in mind. All right, next up we have MasterBooks. And MasterBooks really focuses on using math in world situations, or how to apply math in world situations. So if your child has ever said, why do we learn math? Or is this really something I'm ever going to use? MasterBooks works to conquer that question and make sure that they know how they're going to use these mathematical concepts in the real world or in life. The younger levels, elementary school levels, are really cute. They have a story that they follow along of a brother and sister. So they read the story similar to Life of Fred, and then they do their worksheets. It is a little more in-depth than Life of Fred is, though. It follows, if you're familiar with learning methods, it follows the Charlotte Mason methodology of teaching. If your child tests out of the 6th level that they have, then they would automatically move into the junior high, and then beyond that is high school, where they have algebra and geometry. You can find their placement tests online, and you can print them up so your kids can figure out where they would fit within their workbooks. They do tend to be a little pricier than Life of Fred and teaching textbooks, starting off at $60 for the elementary levels and all the way up to $200 for the high school level. The high school level, though, does include a DVD that is an instructional DVD to help teach the concepts so that they can get a better idea for what the lesson is about and make sure that they can conquer the concept. If your child is a reader in elementary or through high school, then this can be an independent curriculum. You don't have to sit there and teach the curriculum. But like Life of Fred, it doesn't go in depth into how to conquer a concept. So you would need to sit down with your child and help them to work through problems, or get on something like Khan Academy to help them to learn how to work through the concept if it wasn't answered within the book. But the book really does a good job explaining how to work through the problems without doing a step 1, step 2, step 3 style. We may be moving some of our kiddos over to MasterBooks this school year to just try something new, because we have had a lot of the why am I learning this questions, or am I ever really going to use this? And I want them to see how they would use that in real life. So MasterBooks would help accomplish that. All right, next we have Saxon, and Saxon is very highly recommended in the classical education, especially if you're familiar with classical conversations. Saxon is what they recommend for math. And Saxon works kind of in a spiral where it teaches a concept and grows on it and then kind of pulls away from it and teaches something new, but then pulls back to see how those two things come together. And they revisit concepts frequently back over and over, but building upon that concept. We did Saxon and we found it to be very dry, and my kids don't have a huge love of learning mathematics, and so Saxon really burned them out. So we ended up switching over to teaching textbooks, but if you are into mastering a concept and really building upon it, then Saxon is a great curriculum. They do have manipulatives that they suggest and offer for the elementary levels, and Saxon is one of the biggest curriculums that we've ever used. They've got really big books, and then the teacher's guide, and then the manipulatives. There was just a lot of stuff, and the workbook pages and so forth. So it was one of the biggest curriculums that I ever had to find space for. They do offer all levels from pre-K all the way up to calculus, and they have a placement test to help you determine where your child should start within their curriculum as well. It is moving up in the price range, as where the elementary school starts at $70 and high school goes up to $150. So kind of comparable in price to MasterBooks. But it does vary in the education style that you're teaching. One really nice thing that Saxon offers, similar to MasterBooks, is they have DVDs for their high school level that walks you through how to work through different concepts and lessons. It teaches it very similar to the Khan Academy, if you've ever been there, where it's really just a black screen and somebody's talking off camera and drawing on the board or the black screen while they're walking through how to do the problem. One thing that is great about Saxon versus MasterBooks is not only do they have the lessons where they teach the lesson, but they also have how to solve every problem. So if your child misses a problem, they can get onto the DVD and watch specifically how to work through that particular problem. So that's a great resource. We did find that it was just too much to keep going through each problem and finding it, and it was just too much work to get to that using the DVD, and that just kind of added to that time that it took to work through the curriculum, which added to everybody getting burnt out on it and just not enjoying it. But it is a really great resource and something worth checking into. All right, last up we have MathUSee. And MathUSee we've actually never used, but it comes up again and again and again when people ask for suggestions on a math curriculum. Parents are recommending MathUSee all the time. Now, I have to tell you, MathUSee we didn't gravitate towards was really because of space. In order to work through their system, because it's a multi-sensory system, you purchase a box of manipulatives and a box of blocks, and that just didn't work for our situation. But once you purchase that box of manipulatives, you only have to purchase it once for the elementary grades. You're not buying it again. They have little supplement kits you can purchase for things like fractions, and they're pretty economical in cost, but the initial kit is $85 plus you're buying the workbooks. So it tends to be a little pricier. So you're talking $85 for the manipulatives, and then you're talking $91 to about $190 depending on your level for the workbooks. We also never tried it because I was afraid it was too much like Saxon, and after being burnt out on that type of curriculum, we didn't want to make the investment and try it out. But like I said, moms recommend it all the time. In addition to being multi-sensory, MathUSee introduces very complex concepts or advanced concepts, but they do it in a very basic way so that younger students can start learning these things at a younger age and try and work on mastering them. So by the time they get to really building upon those concepts in the higher levels, they've already mastered the basics of it. For example, they have songs that you learn skip counting so that kids can learn their multiplication facts at a really young age. Even though they don't really understand that that's what they're learning, they're mastering those things young, and that makes it easier for them to accomplish multiplication and longer problems later on. A big plus to the curriculum is that they give you digital access to the lessons. So Saxon and MasterBooks is a CD, and if you don't have a CD or DVD player, then that's difficult to use those things. But MathUSee offers digital access, and when you purchase the curriculum for a particular level, then you get digital access for life. So you don't have to worry about having to purchase that access or only having a certain amount of time to access the digital resources. So if you have another child that's coming up behind a first child, then you can just purchase the student workbook and not have to worry about purchasing the digital access or the teacher book again. So that's a big plus as well. If you have any homeschool stores within your area, I strongly suggest that you go in and touch these resources, touch the math books, flip through them, look at them, read them a little bit. And if you've watched any of my other videos, then you've heard this before, and I'm going to say it again. Find what excites you. What excites you? What looks good to your kids? What are you guys really excited to try and start? Because that's what's going to be a great starting off point. All right, I hope this helps you to start your search for a math curriculum and ultimately find one that you love. Don't be afraid to switch. Don't be afraid to try something new, but get started in your search and see what you can find that excites you and your kiddos. If I left anything out or forgot anything that you think others should know, put it down in the comments and I'll answer any questions that I can for you. I've created a resource for you in the notes section. It's a spreadsheet that shows you at a quick glance the pros and cons of each of these curriculums and what they offer versus the other. If you have any questions or if I left anything out, please don't be afraid to reach out to me, and I'll see you next time.